Hi, Tiff. I am so excited to chat with you today. We have known each other for a few years now, and I'd just like for you to introduce yourself and tell everyone what you do in your own words.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Andrea. I love you. I'm Tiffany Cohen. I own Spirit and Soul Studio. I'm also known as the $1 billion healer, and I help people to manifest their best lives, to understand that you create your reality and how do we start to create the reality that we love. Really, my framework is I call it the Best Life Code. I have a book coming out this year, and it's called the Best Life Code because when you work on manifesting, healing, and intentional living, you can truly create your best life.
Yes. So it's really, I feel like your work is all energy and spiritual, and I create gifts, tangible gifts, but there's an overlap, I think, because at the core of what we do at Panier Cadeau is connection. So I wanted to talk to you about connection, and I can talk to you for days, Tiffany, like especially on this topic, but these are meant to be quick conversations and specific to like the industries of the entrepreneurs I'll be talking to. And it's really so unique, your industry and how connection works and how you can define connection. So I'd like for you to do that. Like, how do you define connection?
I think that connection is, what we have to do is kind of look at it from like a top down approach, right? And the fact is that we are all connected. We are connected to each other. We are connected with everything around us. We all come from this, in my opinion, this energetic place, whether we call it universe, creator, source. And so we are energetically connected with each other. And I think we have to really look at connection in that way. And then as we get down to the individual level, I think what we can do is start to see, number one, how we connect energetically on that personal level. And so, how you feel like you just know somebody forever, right? You meet somebody and you're like, I just know them forever. Or like their energy resonates with you and you form this connection. And I believe we form connections with people, especially deep connections, when we're all kind of part of this like energetic soul family. Right. So like if we're connected through this soul family and we're meant to be here together to, whether it's lift the vibration of the world or to create beautiful gifts for people that feel good when they receive them, like they feel amazing when they receive them, like you do, right? Like we are really intertwining now our beautiful innate gifts within to create something beautiful in the world. So I think connection can be looked at on so many different levels. But I think number one, we have to first start from the top. And I think we forget that we are all connected. We feel like we are living a very individual life when the reality is we're not. Right. We all intertwine, interconnect, and mesh with each other. And so
Yeah.
we have to really start to look at it from that perspective, have grace with each other, support one another, and remember that we're in it together.
Yeah. So actually what I like to hear from you is connection to yourself first, because in my opinion, that's where it starts. So, like, do you think that we can be connected to other people if we're not connected to ourselves first?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we can't really fight the universal laws, right? Laws of physics, which laws of physics, whether you're tuned into them or not, they're all happening. So that's like law of attraction, things like that, that are going to, always be there. That's always going to be there, whether you're tuned into your own energy or not, and you're always working with it or against it, right?
Yeah.
But the beauty is that so you can connect with somebody else because what the law of attraction says is like attracts like, right? So your like energy attracts somebody else's energy and they're on that same level. So they come together. And anything that is not of the same energy does not come together and stay together, right? So that being said, you can not know yourself, but still be playing into that. Okay. Now, when you do know yourself, though, that's where the magic happens. When you're connecting with yourself, when you're connecting with soul, when you're connecting with spirit, what you're doing is you are tapping into your own energetic frequency. You're understanding how the energy that you emit out into the world And so when you do this, you can be, number one, a lot more intentional about with what like you're calling into your life. You can be so much more intentional about the people that are in your life, knowing who's aligned with you and who's not. And I think that when you're really connected to yourself, you never feel like you're alone. Right?
Yeah.
Like you're always guided. And I think that's something that, I mean, at Spirit and Soul, that's something that I hear all the time, that people feel lost, right? I just feel lost. And the thing is that how can you feel lost? If you know, if you can connect back into the soul, how can you feel lost if
Right.
your soul already knows the way? And I think that there's a magic and a power in understanding that if the soul already knows the way, all you have to do is tune into it. You can never fail. You can never be actually lost. You're always right where you need to be.
So what's like a first step you think someone who is like they've uncovered that there's something missing, they feel disconnected in some way. What's like a first step that you would advise people to take to feel more connected?
Well, Andrea, I am a meditation pusher, as you know. And so I'm going to say you need to meditate. You got to sit with yourself because the world is really, really loud. Everything around us is loud and your ego is loud. And realistically, the way that we are broken up for any of your listeners that aren't really 100%, maybe they're not into their spiritual side of themselves or the soulful side of themselves, but we are broken up but all created and they come together, but we have an ego and we have a soul. Broken up is definitely not the right word, but we have these two parts of ourselves that create who we are, and we're 100% human, we are 100% divine. When the ego is that's one that's really guiding us the most in life. The ego's loud. Like, so when the ego is talking to you, it's telling you all of your fears. It's telling you all the doubts. It's telling you all of your limiting beliefs. It's telling you that you can't do something that you are actually meant to do. But if you tune in, you have to get quiet. If you tune into yourself, you'll actually hear the truth. But then you
Yeah.
have to believe it. You got to believe what you receive. And for some of us, that can feel a little bit hard, especially if we're not used to listening to the good parts about us, that we're not used to hearing and believing the good things. But the soul is going to tell you all of the good. The ego, not that it's a bad thing, but just the ego wants to keep us safe, right? And so in the creating the safety, the ego is keeping you stuck, right? And like that's what it's meant to do. So listening to the soul will actually get you to be closer to where you want to be. You're going to be more expanded, open to the things that you want because you know that they're meant for you. And the ego is going to be like, whoa, hold on, sister. Like, don't do that. Don't do it because it feels scary. It's really what it comes down to is that it's unfamiliar. And once you
Yeah.
make the unfamiliar
Right.
familiar, now suddenly you're shifting out of the fear and into what you're meant to do. But you have to be aware of that. This completely changed my life. So meditation changed my life because that's when I was able to see truth. Because the inner workings of the ego, they're not your truth. They're safe.
Mhm.
They're a safety mechanism. So
Right.
when you can get quiet through meditation, quiet contemplation, which is like kind of sitting and just like maybe automatic writing or something like that, I think it's really powerful. No phone, no nothing, just you and yourself. And that's
Mhm.
it. You'll be able to hear truth speak through definitely more loudly.
Why do you think people like? So I'm wondering, like, what disconnects people more? Is it fear? Is it ego? Is it past experiences?
All of the above. Yeah,
But
they're one and the same, right? I mean, the fears they're always going to be there. The ego is going to try to keep you safe from those fears, and your past is what creates the fears in the first place. So I am a hypnotherapist, certified hypnotherapist, and I work a lot with going deep into the subconscious mind. And when you understand the subconscious mind, you realize that we tell ourselves stories from the past, things that maybe something happened to us when we were a kid, and we told ourselves without realizing we told ourselves that this is uncomfortable or this creates, this creates fear in me. And so I can't do that. Like, I don't want to feel this anymore. I don't want to be seen, right? Because being seen equals vulnerability. And so now you have a business. Let's like use a real life thing, right? Because I think that especially if you have a lot of entrepreneur followers, right? I think this is going to speak to them because it's something that spoke to me for a really long time. When I was first starting out, like just even when I was food blogging, I really had a hard time going onto Instagram. I had a hard time being seen. I had a hard time with the way that I looked and all of these things. I just had a baby. I was uncomfortable, right? And I was using all of these things as excuses for why I couldn't show up on Instagram the way that I knew I had to. Now, I had a business coach, and the business coach was like, you need to do videos, you need to do things like that. And I was like, yeah, when I get comfortable, when I da da da. And he goes, okay. So you being comfortable is more important than your business. Got it. I just want to know where we're at right now. And like immediately that day, I turned it around. Right. And the thing was that it came down to, and I started to really do the inner work, is that I didn't want to be seen. And so, how can I be? How can I have this business, this forward facing business, which if you have a business, you have to be seen, right? Like you want to be seen. You want a successful business, you have to be seen with that business as well. There's a know, like, and trust factor. And so that was preventing me from getting seen, from going on Instagram. And then suddenly I just started going on, right? And then I started to try to unwind these old stories that I told myself about judgment, about being seen, where they came from. But if you're an entrepreneur, you have to work through this feeling of getting comfortable with being seen, right?
Yeah.
And there may be such a deep seated like fear around it because maybe when you were little, it wasn't safe to be seen. Maybe when you were little, you had it was like you lived in a house that kids should be seen and not heard. And so when a parent would walk in, let's say it was your dad, right? Like your dad walks in and now, yeah, everybody has to be quiet. You have to be quiet. You have to be a good girl, right? We have to be a good girl, and good girls they don't use their voice and they're not seen. They sit and smile, right? And this is what we're taught and what we learn. And then so now when we want to have this big business because our soul is calling us forward, we go to step in and we have all of these anchors from the past that are holding us back. And then they create the fears, and then they create the ego being really loud. And that's how it just perpetuates itself over and over. And the thing is, Andrea, we will live in this until we become aware of it. There's no amount of it's like you can't fight back on something you don't know is actually fighting against. It's,
Right.
thinks it's fighting for you, but it's actually fighting against your success.
Yeah, I think like so many people can relate to that. And then you see entrepreneurs show up on Instagram, and then like you see through the lens of, you see fragments of it, and it looks, you see the success, but you don't actually know what it took someone to get, what they had to overcome to get there, right? And
Yeah.
everything that they had to uncover. And well, we've worked together, for a while now. So you
Yeah.
know deeply all my fears and the things that stopped me. And this was one of them, being seen. And so culturally, even, right? What you said about, that's how I grew up in Guyana. Kids must be seen and not heard. So it's like a priming that happens throughout your life, right? And then once you get to that place of awareness, like you were talking about, you can't unsee it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? And then that's where the work starts and then never ends.
Yeah, once you see it, it's a conscious choice then to
Yeah.
continue to live that way, right? And
Yeah.
and some people do, some people the fear is just too strong, and my hope for everybody listening is that you don't do that, right? Like that you stop making that conscious choice then you don't make that conscious choice to live there in fear anymore. You
Mm-hmm.
consciously choose to do the work. You
Right.
consciously do to unwind that, because like if you do the work, you will unwind it. You will. It
Mm-hmm.
will. And once you move through it, it's actually like it's almost it can feel a little scary. And I've had this happen with people before where, we're working on their healing, and, they feel intimidated walking through it. They feel a little scared walking through it. But once they get to the other side, it is so freeing, because that is not who you're meant to be. You're not meant to play small. You're not meant to be, not heard, and you had to keep quiet. No, you are meant to, if you're called to it, you are meant to do that thing. So, like, you have to unwind it for your own soul's mission. I believe we have multiples, right? Multiple soul missions. And, like, if you're called to something, it's meant for you. So, you got to
You
do the
always say
work
if
to
it's
get
in your
there.
heart, right? If it's on your heart, then it's meant
It's
to
meant for you.
happen. So I have my stack, my spirit, and I have my mug with my fancy, and we're a big spirit and soul community over here.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
I was just curious though, like can you think of a gift that you've received at some point in your life that made you feel truly seen? Like a tangible gift?
Yeah, the first thing that pops into my mind is I when I was probably in my early 20s, I received a gift from my Aunt Diane. She gave me a cookbook that she filled out herself. And at the time, I was like younger, but I really liked to cook and I was like asking for some family recipes. And she took the time for Christmas one year to write down like some of my favorites that she knew that I loved. And she wrote them all down in this cookbook. And I still have that cookbook to this day and I still reference it. I love it so much. I think at that point, I felt really seen because I was kind of like on that cusp of transitioning from being like a kid to an adult or like a teenager or whatever, young adult to like and an actual adult. And I was cooking and I was doing things on my own. And she saw that. And then she like leaned in. And I think I really felt seen in that.
Yeah. And there's something so special about that connection of like something that you enjoy doing and to
Yeah.
have someone else notice it and participate in that is so special. And
Yeah.
I mean, I know you always say, and it's something that I have these cards that I put in my gifts, and it says, "Giving is a joy, receiving is an art. This moment's whole space for both." And that's something that I feel that I've noticed that a lot of people really don't think about a lot. That giving and the giving and the receiving energy, it's two sides of the same coin. So, like, just before we end our conversation, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, giving and receiving. That's a big one. I think it's easier to for people to feel like they can give and very much harder for people to receive. And I think because in receiving there is a worthiness factor that sits within the heart space. And so when someone gives you something from their heart to yours, it might not even be related to the gift itself. It could just be the someone thought of me.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you're not feeling like you are like you feel like maybe you're not seen. Maybe you feel like you're alone and then somebody thinks of you and they hand you something from their heart and then can feel difficult to receive it because you feel unworthy and it's not of the gift itself, but it's of the love and the thought and what the energy that they were putting towards you. And so that's something that I think that we can all work on, not even just from a gift level, and if you do have a hard time receiving a gift, if you do have a hard time receiving a compliment, that is for you to kind of sit with and figure out what is making you not feel worthy of receiving this because you are worthy of it, right? And so, like, there is a beauty in that. But I think that people tend to give a little bit more easily. However, there is also a lack energy that can come with giving, right? Like I feel like I can't give because I don't know when I'm going to receive back again. And so they get like that. There's this little push pull energy. Again, if you have a hard time with that, then you want to make sure you lean in. Well, why are you in lack? What are you in lack over, right? Figure out where that came from. It's really important because at the end of the day, I love what you wrote on there, Andrea. Like there is a reciprocal energy that needs to happen. You can't just give and you can't just receive. That is an energetic imbalance and you will feel that in your life. You will 100% feel it. And so you need to give, 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 give and the universe will actually help you to receive. 100%, right? Just as a side note, like the gifts that you curate for people, like they are so beautifully put together, thoughtfully curated. Like the last gift that you gave me, Andrea, like opened it and I was like, man, like this is beautiful. And like, you know me, right? So like you're giving me this gift and you know me. And it was like every single thing in there was something that I loved. I felt seen with it. And I think that that's what you do such a good job with because you can be that middle person to the giver, but also the receiver as well. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like if somebody has a hard time giving, you being who you are because you are so energetic, like you are, like you can feel into these things. So it's not even just like, okay, well, this person likes cooking, right? And then you put together a cooking basket. It's like, no, like you sit with that energy. You sit with the energy of the receiver and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, well, and then you feel into it. And it's like, all right, what would they like? And then I'm going to put this together. And it's not really coming from the mind, it's more coming from the spirit, right? It's more coming from your soul. And like that's what I love so much about your gifts is that you can feel the the soul aspect of it behind every single gift that you give, but also that you receive. So thank you for that. And thank you for playing that energetic middle for people when they feel like they can't, they don't know how to give, but also even for the receiver, it's like when you open it and you feel seen, like it's more than just getting a gift. It's like you're allowing yourself to open up your heart a little bit more.
Well,
So I
thank you
think
for
it's
that.
so
And I
beautiful.
received that, Tiffany. Thank you so much.
Good, receive
Because
it.
you know what? It is true. And it's really hard to speak about what you do without like wanting to sound cocky or, but it is
Pat your
true.
own back, girl. Pat that back.
Because that is what I do. And I mean, I have people say thank you all the time, like people who order from me and even people who've received gifts reach out to me. But I always say that I couldn't really do what I do. And I say it all the time. If it didn't start with someone having a thought to want to celebrate someone else. And like you said, and you nailed it. I couldn't have said it any better myself. It's a bridge, between the giving and the receiving. And I sit in the middle. And it truly, I mean, it does come from, and it's pretty cool because I say, like, you create the idea before you create the physical gift. Like, and I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, and it still doesn't get old. Just when I blow my own mind when I think about the fact that, like, I actually created this. Like, I saw this gift in my mind, and then, like, I'm looking at it like the physical evidence of this gift. So that's pretty cool for me.
Yeah, and
And
like that's manifesting, like having
yeah,
the idea and then bringing it into the physical form. Like that's it. So it's really beautiful that, we are all a bridge. But Andrea, I think what you do so well is that like you are a conscious bridge. Like we bridge heaven and earth, right? Like we bridge, and you call it heaven, you call it universe, whatever you like. But we bridge that, and we also bridge earth as well, and that's how we're able to bring things into the physical form. But you play this beautiful role within the bridge that you're very conscious of what people want. It's almost like you're conscious of the gratitude that they want to portray to somebody. You're conscious to the energy of the gift, of the giving that they want to portray, and then you can bring that energy to life, and that is really special.
thank you. Well, this is why I could talk to you for days because there's so much to talk about. And I would just like for you to tell everyone like how they can connect with you.
Sure. So you can follow me on Instagram at I'm Tiffany Cohen. Also at Spirit and Soul Studio, both of them there. And Spirit and Soul is all of the beautiful products that we have that we curate. We create our own products, manifestors, which I have one here, which you stir your intentions into your cup, into your glass.
Um,
See, Andrea has one as well. They're the best. We have pens that we create and all
yeah.
candles, intentional products. So that's really great. We also have crystals, of course, and books and all of the incredibly energetic and spiritual things that you need on your
And
journey.
classes and
And
everything.
classes, yep. So I was just gonna say, so on classes, workshops, and what I'm gonna do for anybody that's listening right now, if you're feeling like anything that I said resonated with you, you wanna go start that journey of connecting with your soul and understanding what your missions are and quiet down that ego, definitely use the code free class all together, all one word, all caps, and you'll get a free class at Spirit and Soul so you can test out what we have to offer, and I assure you, you will love it.
Thank you,
So
Tiffany.
definitely use
Thank you
that.
so much for that.
Yeah, of
That's so
course.
generous of you. And
Of
today is
course.
Monday when we're having this conversation, and I know you do your live sales on Monday.
We
I love
do.
my mugs, but I saw that you made available some of the was it your $1 billion
My
healer mug?
billion yeah. So
And
yeah,
I have
so
my
every month
Iron so
okay, so you better join tonight. So we do an Instagram live sale every Monday night on Spirit and Soul Studios page, and we go from 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11, around there anyway. And we have so much fun. Like you'll learn about
it's
crystals.
a
You don't
ton
have
of
to come on and buy anything. You can really truly just learn, experience, hang out with us. It's always fun, but also a way for you to like buy the things that resonate with you. You get 15% off, so it's a lot of fun. Um, And I do have those $1 billion healer mugs, those and candles actually tonight. So those are
I'll
exclusive
be
usually
there.
to my $1 billion healer clients, the ones that are in person.
Right.
Yeah, because we do a ritual. However, they're so special and I just wanted to make them available just for like a really short period of time. So definitely check those out because they're so energetic.
And I think that's something you do so well and you give so freely and then there's giving and there's receiving,
Of
but
course.
you
Yep.
you fill everyone like the community with so much, whether it's education, you teach so much about, your products and the crystals and how people can change their own lives and you offer so much value and I really wanted to highlight that because
Thank you.
it's not just that you sell crystals or classes, but you just give so much and you give so freely. And I can say that because I know you personally and it is how you operate. You give so much. So thank you,
Thank you.
Tiffany.
Thank
And
you
thank
for
you for
that.
chatting with me. I had so much fun. And it's funny because I knew this was not going to be in the time frame that I allotted because there's so much and you're so interesting and so wise. And it's a topic that everyone can and should relate to, just this topic of connection and energy and coming back to yourself, because I think it's really the essence of how the world operates. So thank you again, and I love
Agreed.
you.
Thank you. I love you. And thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure as always. Thank you.
Okay, bye, Tiff.
Bye.